Shelter been in there about an hour changing radio broadcasts and channels like clockwork. Or anything he just got me a piece the man may be giving a valiant effort to avoid inconvenience. Yet he could do without what he could do without and at the present time, that is by all accounts each radio or program Steve Harvey is in discussing his network programs. Feline Williams has recently uncovered one falsehood the comic has more than once taught. In that line let you know that he quit doing stand-up in the grounds that he has 7 network programs. See, I halted because in light of the fact that I 7 shows on television at the same time this feline cases is actually the story. The main issue is the point at which he halted stand-up. He didn't have those 7 television programs. He halted stand-up on the grounds that he got in a parody back Feline Williams in Detroit before 10,000 individuals and lost. Yet Steve is at fault for much something beyond that. Steve took my material on his show, so I had a hamburger on that. He did all my Halloween material one Halloween I'm watching, and I realized he didn't think yet. You realize this is valid stuff that truly happened to one individual. The world is sure can't stand Steve Harvey is Feline Williams. He's gone through years discussing it as well as he's likewise resided and strolled that scorn for the celebrated moderator for quite a long time. To a great many people, Williams' sentiments about the man are attached to the comic's dubious nature. Yet here's the wind. Even individuals with minimal measure of debate to their name likewise end up detesting Harvey. Very much like Williams has been utilizing his voice to uncover Harvey's real essence to the world. Samuel L. Jackson is another. The man may be giving his all to avoid inconvenience, yet he could do without what he could do without and at the present time, that is by all accounts each radio or program Steve Harvey isn't talking about his television programs. Feline Williams has quite recently he uncovered one untruth the comic has more than once taught. In that line, this feline cases is actually the story. Yet Steve is at fault for much something other than that one individual. The world is sure can't stand Steve Harvey is Feline Williams. He's gone through years discussing it as well as he's additionally resided and strolled that hatred for the renowned moderator for quite a long time. To the vast majority, Williams' sentiments about the man are attached to the comic's disputable nature. Yet here's the curve. Even individuals with minimal measure of contention to their name additionally end up disdaining Harvey. Very much like Williams has been utilizing his voice to uncover Harvey's real essence to the world. Samuel L. Jackson is another industry veteran who's been doing much something other than raising that pennant hush and at the bleeding edge. I mean, consider it. When have you heard or seen the two men together? Isn't that somewhat unusual for an industry where veterans in their elves are generally companions or, if nothing else, colleagues? Yet some way or another these men have seldom been in a similar room. Well, it ends up being a lot of that is truly on account of Jackson. Everybody knows Samuel L. Jackson is a pretty stand-up fellow who has figured out how to keep steady over a few establishments for a really long time, all while keeping away from any type of contention. Apparently, the man just picks individuals who share his qualities as companions. And that is the one thing we're certain Steve has never had, that and the way that Jackson truly used to be dearest companions with Bernie Mac. I know beyond all doubt that in the event that the name Steve Harvey sounds familiar to you, you have presumably caught wind of his associations with Bernie Mac. Yes, the men cooperated and were even companions briefly. Yet, as Feline Williams has uncovered to be the example with Harvey, he truly attempted to push Bernie under the transport. His exceptionally open treachery of his one-time co-star and companion to the side. Steve Harvey's whole picture has its foundations as well as a huge piece of its development soaked in debate. Let me demonstrate that to you by laying out a fast picture. Steve, among numerous things, is a writer, and he's composed books about how to keep up with connections throughout the long term, and surprisingly, fairly cut out a specialty for himself with that. Anyway, this man has been hitched not once, not 2 times, but rather 3 entire times with every one of those relationships, including the flow one having been associated with one or the other brutality or bamboozling claims. Tell me, do you truly think many regarded figures will take somebody who tosses stones in a glass house genuinely? In the event that you're a Steve Harvey fan, I prefer not to break it to you, yet Jackson isn't the main top player who thinks this low of Harvey. He's just where it starts. Unique, beginning with you rude child of a Steve Harvey is the first ruler of satire. You goddamn life. To the vast majority who aren't precisely fans, stories like this about the man aren't especially stunning. I mean, in the event that somebody's way of life is a practically ideal differentiation to the message they're teaching, it can suggest that they could have defrauded their direction. To the top, yet don't simply take it from me. Take it from individuals who have either had very close associations with him or even everyone around him, one more side of him. I believe he's as yet that violent, brilliant Steve. He's as yet that yet presently you're likewise seeing one more side of him that he never needed to show, paying little heed to how he became fruitful. It would be pretentious to discount that this man has made himself into quite possibly of the greatest brand in TV. Surprisingly, the satire business overall, beginning his vocation during the 1980s when the parody business was on fire, Steve Harvey didn't have a simple ascent to the highest point of the stepping stool. Per his site, the man's entrance into satire was truly an act of pure trust. He was urged to perform at an open mix satire night in 1985. Harvey cut down the house, and the following day he quit his place of employment to seek after his fantasy. As Harvey himself said, you need to bounce and go out on a limb to take off. Per the comic's depiction of his story, the way to progress this resembles Steve Harvey telling individuals he used to be destitute. That is my story. That is not his story. Steve Harvey was never destitute. When he imprint Curry was visiting with him quite a while back, he was making three. Steve deserted all affectation of being cultivated and make a limit among himself and his partners in his reminder regarding them as inferiors. The reminder read, my security group will prevent everybody from remaining at my entryway who have the expectation to see or address me. I believe all the ambushing should stop now. That incorporates television staff. You should plan an arrangement. Oh, am I garage? Need you? I won't engage you in the foyer, and don't endeavor to stroll with me. Steve even answered the reaction over the reminder. And would you accept on the off chance that I let you know this man multiplied down, as opposed to saying sorry? He thinks individuals needing to converse with him are making the most of him. Discuss haughtiness. I was unable to figure out how to stroll from the stage to my changing area, to sit in my cosmetic seat, to stroll from my changing area to the stage, or to sit at and eat without someone strolling in. I've generally had a strategy where you realize you can come and talk, converse with me. Such countless individuals are perfect around here. Yet some of them recently began making the most of it. Steve thinks having fans and individuals looking out for him felt like a jail, and was tired of it. I would have rather not been in this jail any longer, where I must be in this little room, terrified to go out and deeply inhale natural air without someone moving toward me. So I composed the letter in the end. He straight up wouldn't recognize his slip-up or apologize. Following quite a while of being unapproachable, Steve figures he can say or do anything with practically no results. I don't apologize about the letter. Yet it's sort of insane what individuals who took this thing and ran. Man he has now would not permit anybody approach him at work, which makes clearly he doesn't